beautiful friends. The other day I made a video with some meat, and I want to make another one just to show you how you can use meat in another way, which is actually just like making a steak, but you use mince. And the great thing about this is that if you have meat, if you have cows, or you can buy a big, like a quarter of a calf or a cow, you can actually have the butcher cut most of the meat off. That's what we get done when we have a calf or a cow butchered. We have him, first of all, make sure that the cow or the animal hangs as long as it can, because many of the big butcheries, or what you call them, they don't hang the meat long enough and it doesn't get very tender. So I think it's just for the taste and for everything, it's really important to let the meat hang as much as it can. And it all depends on actually the quality of the meat. So grass-fed meat is often, they're very healthy animals and they can hang for a long time. So that's what I did with the calf we had butchered last summer, and it hung for nearly 3 weeks. I think it was 18 days or something. And what we have done is that we have all the pieces that can be made to steaks. He cuts up into steaks, and then there's some I mean the steaks that you make on the frying pan. But there's also some bigger pieces that you can make in the oven, just a few, not so many. And all the rest of the meat is made into mince. And what I did this time is I made sure, I asked him to take off all the bits, actually just all the bits that are just these stringy sort of, all the tendons that often are in the mince. So it's nearly pure meat and fat. So there is some fat in it, you need to have some fat in it, which is good. But it turned out to be such a delicious piece of mince. And I've had it in the freezer, just in these, when we get it home from the butcher, we pack it into these little plastic bags, and it's important that you squash out the air so that it has as little air in there as possible, and then it will keep really well. So I'm actually going to make a little, we call it a minced steak. That's really what it is. It's a piece of steak that's made out of minced meat. And the beautiful thing about this is that you get all the beautiful taste, and it's it's always tender because it's minced. So you never have any problem with the tenderness. So that's a great thing about this. And then what we have when we have bring all the meat back from the butcher, we of course have all the bones, and so all the bones we can use for broth. And so if you're having your broth and your meat, it's in this way where you have mince, you're getting everything from the animal. So I'm going to show you this. It's very simple. And another way I use mince is that I make like a big piece where I have maybe 1 kilo, and I put a bit of egg, maybe a tiny bit of onion, salt and pepper, and just stir it around, maybe some water, and I just form a big sort of piece like this in a pan thing I put in the oven, and I put pieces of bacon, just very thin slices of bacon on, maybe some bay leaf I put into it, and I just put it into the oven and let it stand there and cook for about an hour. And when it's sort of browning, I pour some cream into the pan so that it just, like I did on the frying pan, and you actually get the sauce from that. So you have this beautiful sauce and this beautiful piece of meat that is so tasty. And you can of course put all sorts of different spices into that. So that is a great way to use meat also. So let's go. So when you're on a healing journey and you want to avoid starches, so you're avoiding rice and pasta and all these things that people have been very used to eating the last decades, bread and all this, you have to sort of get used to using other things. But you can make some very delicious side dishes to have with your meat that are, yeah, quite simple and just very tasty. So I'm going to use some cabbage today, and some red pepper and some carrot. And I'll just show you what I do. You can make this for a few days, so you have some in the fridge. So you can just heat it up a little bit and have it with your food. This is organic cabbage. You just slice it finely. And very often when we're healing our gut, we can't have raw vegetables because it's just too hard to break down for the gut. So that's why cooking it makes it much more gentle on the stomach. A little bit of red pepper. It just gives a very lovely taste to the vegetables, so it's really just for the taste. And here I have my carrot, and we want it very fine, so I'll just grate it. You could put a tiny bit of garlic in there. It's also very tasty, some chili maybe, but we'll just use this today. Now we're using the same pan again and get it quite hot. And you can actually also use fat from your broth production, the fat, the lard or the tallow. But today I'm using butter and coconut oil. Coconut oil is just also a really wonderful oil to use. Some people say the best thing you can fry anything in is coconut oil. And coconut oil is so healing for the gut also. So I put a bit of butter in there because I love the taste of butter. And so we're actually you can just steam these vegetables, but the taste is very lovely when you do this. And also our bread, it's a little bit like wok vegetables, like the Chinese vegetables, because you're sort of frying it lightly. And apparently it changes the yin-yang effect. I think it becomes more yin. No, wait a sec, more yang. It becomes more contracting or something when you do this. I'm not real sure about this, but yeah, the Chinese believe it has a good effect on the vegetables. It's good for you to do it this way. And it does really bring out some beautiful taste in the vegetables. So it gets very satisfying when you eat it. And while it's frying, I add a tiny bit of curry, which is really just a taste booster. But it also, curry has if you can take the spices, curry has many healing properties also. And that needs to be fried in fat to bring out these good taste. So it's very simple. And now it's fried a bit, I just add a little bit of water and put the lid on and turn down the heat. While it's just sitting there for a couple of minutes, we'll go and do the meat. So here's this meat that's been in the freezer for a year, and I got it out 3 days ago. And it's important when you put it in, keep squashing the air out, because that keeps it nice and fresh. See? As soon as the air comes into it, that's when it starts going off. So any grey bits you can just take away. But you can just more or less squash a piece out of this plastic. I'm just going to make a little one, or just medium size, and just keep squashing out the air. Turn it around so you have this, it keeps fresh. Okay, and I just, this is so simple. So simple. And you make it quite thin. This is a very well-known Danish dish where you have lots of fried onions that are cooked very, very soft on the pan first. Then you take them off and then you cook this meat. So it's called Hakkebøf. And this is Jersey meat, which is really, really delicious, and it's an 8-month-old calf. But although it's a calf, it has enormous amounts of taste. And it was actually a castrated bull calf. So, and that's when you do that, the meat becomes a little bit more like from a female, like from a female calf. So let's go and fry it. So it's been cooking a couple of minutes now. You can turn up the heat a little bit again. It's looking very lovely. And you can just check it if it's soft enough for you. Very lovely. It's fine. And so this, when you've used a bit of it, you can just put a lid on, put it in the fridge and take a bit out when you're having a meal. So you don't have to cook every day. But when you're not eating bread, you just really need to have some easy food. I'm going to put some more butter. It's important to get all the water off the pan. More coconut. And just get the heat right up. I'll say when it stops bubbling. But this pan is a little bit too big, so it does burn a bit on the sides there. I think it's fine. Let's push it a bit so you don't have it. It would be better with a smaller pan when you're not just doing this, because otherwise I would have done 4. Yeah, it's nice and brown, and I can actually turn it down now. Make sure it doesn't stick. And of course, fried meat you shouldn't eat every day, because it's not, the frying is not the most healthy process, but it does really taste wonderful. And we can put a bit of pepper and salt on it while it's sitting there. Salt, bit pepper, and you can either use the cream or just a bit of water. And I want it to be a little bit red. When the blood starts coming out, we can take it off. I think it's the butter that makes it smoke so much, because if it's pure coconut oil, it doesn't do like that. Here we go, here comes the blood. Let's pour the water on now. Just turn it off. I have a bit of cream cheese here I can put in there. it onto the meat. So here we have our vegetables, our meat, some of my homemade cheese, and this is just another way to have really quite simple, very delicious food. I won't be eating it right now on the film, but there you go. Another way to make very delicious grass-fed meat. See you, my friend.